To install bats in attics and cathedral ceilings, you'll be using many of the same installation methods as when installing bats in walls. However, attic bats are usually thicker because upper areas of the house are subjected to greater temperature extremes and require higher R values. Like sidewalls, these bats can be craft-faced or unphased. If using faced insulation, the vapor retarder should be down toward the inside of the house. Start in one corner and push the bat up into the joist space. Make sure it covers the top plate of the wall. Staple the bats as you go, at least every 8 inches. Continue to add bats, pushing them snugly up against the end of the first bat without gaps. Be careful not to block roof or soffit vents. When you're working with standard craft-faced bats near non-IC type lights, cut the facing back 3 inches. This does not apply to IC type ceiling fixtures, so check to see what type of lighting is installed. Remember, standard craft vapor retarder facings are flammable, so around chimneys, flues, or other hot areas, either cut the facing away a minimum of 3 inches or use unphased insulation. Most of the time, ceiling bats are installed from below, but if the ceiling drywall is already in place, install the insulation from the attic. Place the craft-faced insulation down between the joists, on top of the drywall, and with the facing down toward the interior of the house. Be careful not to compress the insulation. If that happens, its R value will be lowered. Cut the insulation to fit snugly around cross braces and other obstructions. There may be some jobs where the vapor retarder has already been installed. In these cases, lay the unphased insulation down between the joists and on top of the vapor retarder. Some attic jobs may call for a combination of batting and blowing. This combination is used when a craft vapor retarder is desired with additional R value. Before you leave the attic, remember to insulate the back of the access cover by attaching a piece of insulation to the back of the board. Installing insulation in the cathedral ceiling is a little different. As with other areas, you can use either craft-faced bats or unphased bats with a vapor retarder, such as CertainTeed's membrane. With this type of ceiling, you should leave an airspace approximately 1 inch between the insulation and the roof deck. This allows ventilation to keep the roof deck cooler. As you work, be sure to butt the ends of the bats closely so there are no gaps. It's best to overlap the facing at the ends to prevent gaps. Keep in mind, standard craft facing is flammable, so cut away at least 3 inches when installing around chimneys or non-IC lights. If the insulation you're using is thicker than the joist space, baffles must be installed over the entire length of the roof deck surface to allow for ventilation of the roof. If the bat completely fills the cavity with no room for air circulation behind the bat, then you must allow for airflow up to the ridge vent. Install baffles leading from the soffit vent up the roof deck to the ridge vent. As you've seen throughout this CertainTeed series, there's a right way to insulate. With a little planning, the right materials, and attention to detail, the job you do today can ensure a lifetime of complete comfort. For helpful tips and more information on CertainTeed insulation products, visit CertainTeed.com/insulation.